can get more volume? Is my technical support here? All right, well, I'll kind of walk you through it. But the big point there is just to get a sense of what you see when you do this. What you do is you can see kind of what's working for them and what's not. He articulated, he pretty much understood what to do, that he needed to distract the guards at a high level, but really wasn't sure how to do it, so he just ran on out and then ended up in a big firefight, of which he lost because he thought that he had extra weapons somewhere and was trying to take that approach to it. Probably not what the game designer actually intended the user experience to be. But is it a problem or not? That really kind of just depends on what the design goals are for the game, and kind of what his response is to this situation, how the game was set up. Will they reiterate that later? This may or may not be an issue. Those are the kind of things that you just have to run more people, and it really depends on what your game's doing. Okay, so enough introduction. What did we learn? The first question is, why do players play demos? I got this on a big, bright, big splashy thing because this probably is pretty obvious. Gamers play demos to get a general sense of your game and its gameplay. When we talked to people, it wasn't about finding out every last feature of your game. It wasn't about learning what the challenge ramp was going to be. It was about, I just want to get a sense of what the game's about. And you'll see that theme gets repeated in a lot of things and a lot of challenges in creating demos that you have to deal with. The other thing is, if that is what demos, or why people play demos, then it should have a pretty big implication in terms of what game demos should do. They should give the player a general sense of the game, and they should teach the players what's great about the gameplay. It should be an education process. It's not just a slice of your game, and often that's the way it's done, is it's just a slice. Sometimes that slice is sufficient, sometimes it's missing a few things. So what I hope to do today is to kind of highlight some of the things that are often missing when people just grab that slice of the gameplay. And a few tips on just things that you can do to help give the player the information that they need to have a great experience. Player understanding was really the biggest problem that we saw when we tested the game demos. Of the 14 participants, 10 quit the demos, and quit, I don't mean they just, maybe I'll come back later. They quit and said, I'm done with this. I would go on to another demo. I wouldn't purchase this game. A few of them said, even if my friend told me something about it, I don't think I would go back and research the game anymore. I've played it. I'm not interested in it. And the reason that they did it was just due to a lack of understanding of some aspect of the game.
I see it pretty cool at the start. I liked the intro to it. I don't like the style of movies. I thought it was pretty funny, like the little Lego men acting out a movie. It seemed pretty cool, but after playing the demo, I probably wouldn't buy it.
What is that?
But I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
Well, I don't like the really long instructions, like a little bit of instruction.
Yeah.
The setup for it, once you get into the actual gameplay, I don't know what they are.
Okay. What would you do at home?
I'll answer it.
Okay.
This is probably about the point where I change games, isn't it?
Okay. And why is that?
Because I'm just not sure what I'm supposed to be doing with this one.
Okay. James, would you buy the game?
No.
And why not?
Just because I didn't understand it.
Okay. Okay. So that's kind of an example of the kinds of responses that we got from some. Also, I just want to point out real quick, moving forward, I won't have the face with the videos. I debated this a really long time because it's much more compelling when you can see the user's face, and we usually do that. But just for kind of ethical reasons, I would need to get the participants' permission to show you their faces, and decided that I didn't want to tell them that I was going to present to a whole bunch of people because I felt that that might influence their behavior in the study. So that's why you won't be seeing any more pictures during the talk. Anyway, issues related to player education really did create the largest problems for players. player education really should be the #1 priority for your demo. This might be overstating it just a little bit. Obviously, you want them to have a great time and you want to bring those great features out. But I think every game developer already knows that and is already striving to do that. What tends to get lost is that, no, I'm actually taking the user on a learning process. I've kind of broken player education down into a few pieces. I'm sure that this could be debated, and if there's academics in the crowd, they would probably love to take this to task. But I broke it down into a few things. At a high level, what is this game about? What is the purpose of this game? What makes this game unique? The second thing, what is the goal in this game? And then the third point is, how do I accomplish that goal? And there's two parts to that. The first is giving the user a general idea of kind of, in general, here's what you need to do to get to your goal. So if it's a trick-based game, you know, in general, your goal is to get 50,000 points. In general, doing lots of tricks and comboing them together will get you there. And then, okay, I know what I need to do. How do I execute it? That boils down to really, what buttons do I press? I'm going to talk about each one of these in detail. So starting with, what is this game about? The biggest issue here is that I think we overestimate how much players will know about our game. Like I said, I had people rate whether they were interested or not in playing the demo. I also had a box score. I've never heard of it. And on average, 43%, each participant didn't know 43% of the titles on that list. We in the industry, we're up on the latest titles, we're up on what genres mean. Most of the broad audience out there doesn't even understand the concept of different genres. They just know, I kind of like these type of games. But, you know, very fine. They might know to some degree an RPG from a racing game, but they're not going to know all the subtle distinctions that we do. And unfortunately, some demos do very little to tell the player what the game was about. And this, again, I think is just over-assuming what the player is actually going to know coming into the game. I've kind of covered this in terms of what the potential causes are for this. So what can you do about it? There's a great opportunity to actually educate players before your demo even begins. In all the next generation consoles, there's a dashboard there where they download it. It's a great opportunity to help start introducing the player to the game. On the 360, I'm still not absolutely sure that this is the case, but I think that when you're browsing for a demo, you get one set of text in that box, and then when you download it, there's actually a different set of text. That's a great opportunity to let your marketing people go nuts, putting whatever they want there, and then when they get it downloaded, provide further instructions. It's even worse once you download it. It tends to just be, well, this was about the worst example that I could find in terms of downloading games. But if there's 130 games out there and your player buys an Xbox tomorrow, what is going to compel them to download this game? Probably this is more for the publishers and marketers out there, but if you're making a game and your game pops up like this, pick up the phone and call your publisher. The other way that demos try and do this is they put, at the end of the demo, they pop up a screen with a whole bunch of details. What was the participants' response to that? In general, if they were interested in your game, they did skim these screens. What they were looking for tended to be more focused on, it varied by genre, but it tended to be focused on questions of how much. In terms of a racing game, how many cars, how many tracks. It's really about kind of how much content is there for me, how long will this game hold my attention. A little less focused on, what are all the exact features. A lot of people said, I'd go to the store and I'd read the back of the box, or I'd look that up online, kind of thing. The other problem with this is, if the user didn't like the demo, they didn't read this. They just want it out, and they would skip through the game really quickly. So it does place the need on the demo itself to really kind of